What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Kinstretch class brought to you by Stretch Effect. My name is Coach Luke, and I'll be taking you through today's 30-minute hip extension and knee flexion focused Kinstretch class. So today's gonna be a little different, as normally we focus on, say, one joint or one specific movement, or kind of a group of joints. Today we're gonna be focusing on really the aspect of hip extension and knee flexion, which is something that's crucial for runners and athletes, but it's really something that's crucial for pretty much everybody in today's modern society, because we spend a lot of time in that kind of hip flex position. So the more time we could spend working on hip extension and knee flexion, ideally it would be a little bit every day. But this is going to be a class that's really focused on people that feel a lot of the hip flexion tightness, but then people that also maybe deal with some hamstring injuries or some just other lower body issues that are caused by today's modern society of sitting too much and not quite getting the hip and kind of simultaneous motion that this class is going to give you. So really just kind of focused on that hip extension, knee flexion. We're going to start with some lower body cars, and then we're going to get right into work. So let's start with our side long hip cars. You just want to get on your right side. If you got one block, throw that under your head, throw your arms up front. If you got two blocks, take one block under the head, and then we'll have one block kind of just hug right in on the rib cage. That's just going to remind us just to stay tight, keep that ribs down, core contracted, nice and tight position. They were not extending, especially as we extend that hip, which is of course what we're going to be working on today. So we really want to accentuate that hip extension, and I'll kind of let you know when we hit that point. All right, so plug that block, a nice squeeze, legs squeeze together, the left hip comes up in a flexion, open up into your abduction, there you go. Internally rotate now as we extend, really focus on keeping the ribs down, keep that core tight. I'm just sliding forward a little bit so I don't kick the wall behind me. As I come over, I'm extending that hip, right? So I'm driving my heel back to the wall, but making sure that I don't lose the integrity of my spine, of my core. So now I'm extending back again, feel glute, feel hamstring, open up, and come back through. We're gonna go one more time. Knee flexion or hip flexion and knee flexion, right? So here, internal rotation, stand back, come through, and so as I go back to extension here, I'm just gonna hang out in this extended position here, and then I'm just gonna work some knee flexion. Okay, so I'm gonna extend, trying to continue driving my heel back to the wall, drive my hip back to the wall, but without losing that core integrity. So really, if you got the block, make sure you squeeze tight. Let's go one more. So really big squeeze, flex that knee, try to pull the heel to your butt while you keep driving back. And then let's come back over, around, and through. So just quick, just to clarify, right? So I was going here, I'm extending back, trying to get that position as far as I can, and then I'm just working the extension, the flexion. That's really what we're focusing on today, trying to squeeze that heel back, get that good hamstring squeeze. Switch for the two hip colors. And then on the second, as we come back to the extension, working knee flexion. Here, legs tight, ribs are down, squeeze the life out of that block. Legs are stacked, flex, abduct, open up, internally rotate, extend back, keep the rest of that body nice and still, flex, extend, open, come around, through one more time, hip flexion, open that hip up, keep driving that left hip, or left knee down to the ground, left hip and knee, internally rotate as I come around. Now go back to extension, focus on the core tension, keep those ribs down. Here, pull back, keep driving the heel back to the wall the whole time. Feel glute, feel hamstring working. From there, I will just extend and flex. Try to touch your butt with your heel. That's one. Just waking up those hamstrings, getting up ready. The work we're about to do today. Those ribs down, keep squeezing that block. Last one. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. From there, keep that squeeze. Come around. And over and come down. Very good. So let's go right into the work here. So we're going to start with some hip extension and knee flexion pills and rails. So I'm going to start with my right knee down. So my outside legs, and then, so the inside leg will be up into about 90-degree flexion, and then use the wall for stability, so you don't have to worry about balance. If you do, if you want to use a table, if you have dowels, just anything that you can use to focus on the stability, so you can really put as much focus and emphasis into the stretch, and then into the contraction when we do our pills and rounds. So if you have a mat, something like this, something just to kind of fold it under a couple times, just to provide as much cushion and support as possible. Just want to make sure that the knee isn't an issue as I'm working through this. And then what you can do, so I'll kind of go through a couple variations here. You can go from the floor like this, right? Because really what we're accentuating, what we're working on is getting pelvic tilt, squeezing that glute, and then extending forward without losing that integrity, right? So I don't want to tuck and then just go forward and lose it, right? So I'm just continuing to tuck and then just drive forward as far as the stretch allows. And then we do our pails by driving down to the floor, and then our rails by contracting and then trying to lift there, keeping that hip extension. So that's the hip extension, knee flexion that we're working on. What you can do as well is you can elevate your feet to a slightly higher position. So if you have, say, one block, you can go right where your heel would be. Or if you have two blocks, you can go right here. So now I would start in more of a flex position, tuck that tailbone, and then as I do my rails, now I'm trying to lift off that obstacle. But really, because we're really accentuating posterior pelvic tilt, really trying to squeeze the pelvic tilt and then drive the hips forward. You could just go from the floor because the pails and the rails is going to create the outcome that we're looking for, regardless of where you start your foot from. So no blocks, that's okay. If you want to use, like, talked about before, like a thick book or stacks of books, you can elevate there, elevate it onto, maybe like a small surface or a step. But if you don't have that, stack 2 blocks or just use the floor. Okay, so from here, we're going to go 2-minute stretch. So I'm going to tuck my tailbone, squeeze this glute, and as I breathe, good stretch. So as I breathe, just relax and sink deeper into that stretch of hip extension, right? So keep that squeeze, keep trying to posteriorly tilt that tailbone more, right? So look at my hips, anterior tilt, posterior tilt. I'm trying to tuck under, get a good squeeze on the hip, or a good stretch on the hip flexor, all the way down through the quad, making sure the ribs stay down, making sure I'm keeping a good body position here. We're extending through the hip, driving forward and not through the lumbar spine. And then as you breathe, just focus on that contraction of the glute. Okay, so my pails, I'm driving the foot down into the block, building up the contraction to 100% in the first 10 seconds. I'm going to hold 100% contraction for another 10 seconds. My rails, now I'm trying to keep the posterior tilt. If anything, keep driving it more, get more hip extension, get more posterior tilt, and try to pull the heel up towards the butt. Try to pull the foot off of the blocks if you're using it. We'll hold that 100% after we right into it, get a good, quick, fast contraction to hold 15 seconds, and we'll relax deeper into that stretch. And we'll go down to 2 sets here. We'll put 2 sets on the other side, and then we're going to do some holds, we're going to do some lift off. So keep tucking, get more of a stretch, get more of a squeeze. Okay, from here, let's get set. Take a big breath in. Back that air down. Get nice and tight, brace that forward, and then start driving the foot down onto that block. Keep that posterior tilt. It's really building up. We're at 10%, 20%. So now we're contracting all of this stuff to extend that knee into the block. Good. 40%, 50, 60, 70%, 80%, 90%, and 100% effort. Crush that foot onto the blocks. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, keep that brace, 2, 1. Now rails, try to pull that foot off the block, keep tucking the tailbone, keep driving that hip forward, make that hamstring cramp. You're trying to squeeze so hard. It's not about how high you get the foot, it's about getting that foot up, keeping the posterior tilt, hip extension, keep driving. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Keep that tilt. Ooh, a little hamstring cramp. If you cramp, that's okay. That just means you're using that hip, you're using the hamstring in a position that it's not as strong, right? So that's just called neurological confusion. Shake it out if you need to. Probably good rest for my knee as well, and then we're just going to go right back into it. With that stretch, we're going to hang out here for about 30 seconds. And we'll go round 2. Some breathing, focus on the recovery, let that nervous system kind of calm down a little bit in between sets. Keep tucking, keep squeezing, keep driving forward. Getting that stretch. Okay, shoes lined up. Just a little bit there. And there. Let's go round 2. Take a breath in. Brace and start driving down again. 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50, keep getting 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%, crush down 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rails. Good, get there, get there, get there. 15, 14, 13, keep grabbing those hips forward, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep squeezing the glute. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Ooh, sink into that, feel that stretch. Very nice. This should be quite a unique feeling for the hip flexor and the knee flexors, which is our hamstrings, right? So I'm just gonna switch sides. Tuck under a little bit more. Let's give my knee a good cushion. From there, I'm just gonna find the stretch on the other side, right? So I'm gonna take what's under that leg, right under the front of that ankle. Oops. There. Set yourself up. There, so I got 90 degrees on this front leg. Tucking that tailbone, get a stretch on the hip flexor on the front side. And breathe. Alright, so we're gonna go 2 minutes here. We're going to go 2 rounds on this side as well. Same thing, right? 4 count, 5 count on the inhale. Just trying to go super slow. Belly breathe, stomach expands out. On the exhale, 8 to 10 count. Driving down, the ribs come down. Relax that body. Tuck that tailbone. Squeeze that glute. Feel that stretch, and then as long as you can maintain here, slowly just start to drift forward. Get more of a stretch on the hip flexor, even down through the quads, as your quads are also hip flexors as well. So also knee extensions, right? So that's why you feel when you extend the knee, extend the foot into the blocks. That's why you get that contraction here, right? So what we're working is kind of some multi aspects of the lower body, which is why this is something that's rarely kind of trained and something that is quick to go if we spend a whole lot of time sitting at desks, sitting in the car, not really training them together, right? So we'll go 2 rounds here, then we'll get some passive range holds and some passive range lift-offs. Tuck, tuck, tuck. We got 2 sets. Okay, so here, take a breath in. Brace, full body tension, tuck that tailbone, squeeze that glute, start down the foot down, build it up 10%, 20%, 30%, 40, 50%, 60%, 70, 80, 90, and 100% ever crush that foot on those blocks. 10, 9, should be shaking. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, keep that tuck. 2, 1, keep the tuck and rails. Try to pull that foot away from the block. Squeeze those hamstrings. Drive. Drive up. Drive up. Keep that tuck. Keep squeezing that glute. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Max effort. Max effort. Make that hamstring cramp. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back down. Sink down deeper in the stretch. Cramped up. A little bit. That's okay. It just means you're squeezing hard. That's what we want. So in this case, cramp is not a bad thing, right? It just means you're at your end. It means you're contracting in areas that are not as familiar being contracted there, right? So that's kind of the whole point of this training, right? So we're good at contracting in the mid-range, but it's our end ranges, it's our short and our long ranges that we're not good at. That's usually where we're most likely to get injured. And then when we fatigue, those are the first ranges that we're going to cut out of the range of motion, which is definitely not what we want when we're trying to compete, or we're trying to get better, we're trying to progress, we're trying to improve. So inherently, you should be at your least, strong and most kind of contractible range, because this is what we're doing. This is why we're spending our time now, right? So the goal isn't to make yourself cramp, but cramp is definitely not a bad thing. Okay, so let's go round 2, get nice and braced. Tuck the tailbone, squeeze the glute, and start driving down on the block again. Keep the hip extension. Now try to drive that foot on the block. 30%, 40, 50, get tired, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%, drive down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay tucked, squeeze and rails. Try to pull that foot away. Keep going. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, let it breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Sink down deeper. And come out of that there. You can stand it up. Shake it out. Walk it off. Everybody walks off to the side. There we go. We're going to go back to the right leg. We're going to go into something that's called passive range holds. So passive range hold are really going to be fun one, say fun in quotes there, but really just kind of focusing on now contracting in the ranges that we just stretched out and we just contracted into. So now we're going to go up into just a hold, right? So I'm going to take inside knee up, back to my right side. I'm going to go here. So you're just going to tight. You're going to take that ankle so you can hold from the ankle, or hold from the foot, whatever allows you to find that position there, and use your arm on the other side for stability. Again, if you're using dowels, you can hold on to both of them here. You can hold to, table, wall, chair, anything you got, so you don't have to fight for stability and balance, or really just focus as much as you can here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand, or take my foot in my hand. I'm just going to hold and slowly release. I'm going to try not to let my foot drop at all. I'm going to try to hold that same position there. We're going to go 5-second holds here, okay? So you're going to grab that foot, get tall, brace the core, extend that hip, drive forward, get that glute tight, get that stretch there, and then you're just going to slowly move your hand, hold it there for 5 seconds, and then you're going to fail slowly down to the floor, grab it again, right back into it. 5 reps, 1 set, 5 reps, 1 set on the other leg. Just really take your time here and really focus on just control, and focus on the tension, focus on the squeeze, and focus on keeping the rest of the body nice and strict, right? So we really easily do this, or really easily to do this, and kind of feel like you're getting more. But you want to make it as challenging as possible by getting that hip extension and working that knee flexion, okay? So you can, whatever you gotta do to get the position first, right? So back, you can find this, start from here. Now I'm gonna extend my hips, squeeze my glute, make sure my ribs are down, core is tight, actively contract, remove my hand, and try to hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fail, slow. Very good. So essentially what we're trying to do is we're taking into this passive range, right, which is always going to be more than your active. And now we're trying to kind of bring those two a little closer together, right? So we're trying to solidify that active range at a slightly higher length here, right? So in this case here, ribs down, glutes tight, core tight, squeeze that glute, squeeze the hamstring, and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fail slow. 2. 3 more. Have it. Contract. Ribs down. Get tall. Brace. And hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get slow. 3. 2 more. Here we go. Braced, tall, extend that hip, glutes tight, ribs down, and release. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow down. Last one here. If you gotta get that brace, just gotta follow on the other side. Okay, last one. Get tall, tuck the tailbone, squeeze that right glute. Really focus that hip extension, don't lose that. Get tall, brace, and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back down, and switch. Ooh, toe drills are fun. Over, here, fire on the other side. there, again, now you can rebend here, now you rebend here. Again, like I said, today's hip extension and deflection, right? So not just deflection, but I want to get hip extended, keep that glute tight while I drive forward and just try to hold that knee up. You're gonna cut down your range of motion, probably pretty considerably, but that's, again, it's not how high you can get it, it's about how much you contract those tissues that we're focusing on, right? So, foot, one side may be different than the other, so just brace, contract that glute, drive the hip forward, stretch on the hip flexor, now contract the hamstring, hold, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You'll know when you do it right, good. Make sure we don't lose, make sure, I kind of realized, right, as I started, I was a little bit here, so as the set went on, I was just trying to tug more, and then that caused my foot to drop a little bit because I was getting in a better position, right? So we're here, squeeze the wall, get tall, squeeze the glute, flex the hamstring, and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3 more. There, extend that hip, squeeze that glute, and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3. Here we go. Last 2. Come up, braced. Use that wall. Here you go. Squeeze the glute, tuck the tailbone, wrench it down. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4. Last one. Here we go. Everything you got. Get that foot. Get the position. Brace that core. Squeeze the glute. Press it forward. Get the stretch on the hip flexor. And hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And back down. Sit it up. Shake it out if you need to. We got one more thing here. We go back to our single knee on the right side. Use passive range lift-offs, okay? So hold, I was holding in the passive range as much as I can, trying to solidify the active range. Now I'm just controlling active range as I brace, get tight, make sure everything's just like I was doing. Now you can go here or here, it's up to you. And then I'm just gonna try to actively pull my heel up, tight as I can, squeeze that hamstring, make sure I keep hip extension, come right back down, okay? We're gonna go 10 passive range lift-offs here. Making sure to always accentuate hip extension. That will cut down your range of motion, just like the other ones, right? So we're gonna go 10 reps there, 10 on the other side, and then we'll call it a day. So, get everything nice and tight. Brace that core, ribs are down, really think. So this is anterior tilt, posterior. Get that posterior, keep that glute tight. Everything nice and tight. From there, don't lose that. 1. Back down, reset, tuck. Lift. 2, reset, tuck, lift, back down, 3, tuck, lift, down, 4, tuck, lift, 5, tuck, lift, 6, I'm just going to go here in these last 4 just to change it up, get a different feeling, squeeze the glute, you can do which either, you can do 10 and 10, you can do 5 and 5, whatever you want to do. So 4 more, tuck the tailbone, squeeze the glute, pull by the tension, and tuck. Good, 7. There's a different feeling there, right? Tuck. 8, get tucked, squeeze, last 2, lift. 9, one more, tuck and squeeze. Full brace, get tall, and lift. And down, 10. Switch. Hamstring should be feeling it right about now. Definitely something that, not like we said at the beginning of class, not enough people get enough of. So this is something that we should all be really putting more attention, more focus into. So last 10 here. Do a couple hip cars. Call it a day. Ribs are down, core's tight, glutes tight. I'm going to do 5 here. I'm going to do 5 with my ankle plantar flex. So here, tuck the tailbone, lift, down, 1, lift, down, 2, lift, down, 3, get tall, lift, down, 5, cramp there we go. 5 more here, and then a plantar flex, straight ankle, nice tight glute, get braced, get tall, and tuck the tailbone, lift, 1, lift, 2, on the hip, remind me, stay tight, 3, 4, last one, tuck, stay tucked, keep extended on hip, and back down, 5, 10 total there. Okay, so let's just go finish with some hip thrusters, and that back out. We'll move back to the yoga blocks like you did at the beginning of class. So you can, got one block in front, using so stability, you got one block under the head. We got 2 reps here, and hit the other side. So tucking, squeezing. So really focus on the extension portion here, just what we worked on there, so it should feel significantly better. Be able to drive that hip back more, be able to open this up a little bit more. And around. Good, this like a bit, so more. And there, got one more. Just like how we started class. Second rep coming around for the second side right here. We're going to hold here. Extend, we got 3 reps. Flex. Should feel a little bit different when we started here, right? Keep driving back the whole time. One more. Heel to butt. Hold. Around. And through. Let's go switch. 2 reps on the other side. 3 knee hinges. Extension. And you're done. Okay. Brace. And hold. Open. Internally rotate. And extend. Keep squeezing that block. Open. And one more here. Flexion, abduction, internal rotation, coming around. Okay, right here. Extend that hip, squeeze the glute, squeeze the hamstring. Flex, or extend, I should say. Flex. 2 more hinges. Extend. Flex, last one. Extend, keep that core tight. Ribs down. Squeeze that heel to your butt. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Around. And through. We are all done. So that was our about 20, how much are we on time? About, yeah, 27-minute knee flexion / hip extension focus Kinstretch class. So that was just like we talked about at the beginning of class. That is something that most people should work more on. That's something we don't get enough in today's society. Spend a lot of time in the seated position, with that shortened hip flexor position, and kind of more lengthened hamstring. So the more time you can spend working on that, the better your lower body's going to feel, the better your hips are going to function, and the less of that kind of persisting hip flexor tightness that a lot of people feel from sitting a lot. So again, that was a hip extension / knee flexion. So that's something I want you to remember so you can practice on your own. The more you can spend time practicing those things, the better everything is going to function, the better everything is going to feel. So again, thank you for joining me in today's class. That was a challenging one. I hope those hamstrings are feeling okay. Do some more hip cards throughout the day. Continue to practice that, and I will see you at the next class.